Warning, your legs are giving up before you realize it. Have you ever stood up from a chair and felt a strange wobble in your legs? Just for a second? Maybe you laughed it off. Maybe you blamed the chair, the floor, or simply getting older. But listen carefully. That tiny tremble is not a joke. It's a red alert from your body, a silent alarm that your legs, your very foundation of independence, are beginning to fade. And if you ignore it, the fall could come much faster than you ever imagined. Before memory fades, before hard issues strike, your legs weaken first. And what starts as a harmless hesitation could spiral into fractures, hospital beds, and losing the freedom you've spent a lifetime building. But here's the electrifying news. You have the power to fight back, starting right now, today, with 3 simple foods that can literally rebuild your strength from the inside out. Salmon, your muscles' secret weapon, packed with healing protein and circulation-boosting omega-3s. Leafy greens, the ultimate bone protectors, fortifying your legs against hidden fractures. Beans, nature's energy bombs, fueling your legs to move stronger and longer. I'm Sophia, and welcome to Life Unstoppable, the place where age is just a number and strength is a choice. Grab your tea, pull up a chair, but stand tall when you do. Because what you're about to learn could change the next 10, 20, even 30 years of your life. Don't blink. Your future is standing on your legs, and it starts now. Don't lose your strength. Type 1 to discover 3 essential foods for healthy legs. Ethan had always been a force of nature. At 75 years old, this retired firefighter from a sleepy coastal town still carried himself like a man who could lift a house if he needed to. Every morning, rain or shine, he strolled the beach with his loyal dog, Buddy, whistling against the salt air. Locals would wave, admiring the easy power in his stride. But then it happened. One ordinary Tuesday, Ethan stood up from his porch chair and staggered. Not a trip, not a slip, just weakness. A slow, eerie collapse of strength that almost dropped him back into his seat. He chuckled to himself, masking the flash of fear. "Maybe I'm just tired," he muttered. But deep down, he knew better. The next morning, the beach walk took longer. His legs ached by the time he reached the boardwalk. Steps he once conquered without thinking now demanded effort, a deliberate calculation with every footfall. Within weeks, Ethan found himself avoiding hills. He leaned against railings. He stopped carrying heavy grocery bags. The man who once ran into burning buildings was now sidestepping cracks in the sidewalk, heart pounding with a fear he'd never known before. Then came the real gut punch. One evening, Buddy darted after a seagull. Normally, Ethan would have sprinted after him without a second thought. But this time, he froze. His legs refused to obey. He stood there, helpless as Buddy disappeared down the beach. That night, Ethan sat alone in his kitchen, hands trembling, eyes burning with unspoken terror. Not because of the chase, not because of the stumble, but because, for the first time in his life, he questioned whether his body could still protect him, or the ones he loved. It wasn't just aging, it was a silent betrayal, creeping up inch by inch. Every day he ignored the early warnings. That moment, standing paralyzed on the sand, became Ethan's breaking point. And in that breaking came a powerful decision. He would fight back, not with denial, not with fear, but with action, starting with what he put on his plate, what he did with his mornings, and how he chose to face every new sunrise. Because Ethan realized something most people never do until it's too late. The battle for strength isn't fought in hospitals. It's fought in your living room, in your kitchen, and inside your own mind. And he was ready to fight like hell. Just as Ethan began his fight to reclaim his strength, fate threw him a brutal curveball. It was a chilly Saturday morning when Ethan decided to walk Buddy to the park, not the short beach strolls he'd been limiting himself to, but a real walk. He packed a small bag with water, clipped Buddy's leash, and told himself, "Today, we start taking life back." At first, the world felt normal. The air crisp, the sand firm under his boots. His legs, although hesitant, moved with cautious purpose. Every step was a small victory. Until the hill. The path sloped gently upward, nothing like the steep climbs Ethan had once sprinted up in his youth. But halfway up, his legs began to tremble. His heart pounded louder than the ocean waves crashing nearby. Panic clawed its way up his chest. He stopped to steady himself. And that's when it happened. A teenage boy running full speed with his golden retriever collided into Ethan from behind. Ethan tumbled sideways into the sand, pain shooting through his hip and shoulder. Buddy barked frantically, pulling against the leash. The boy stammered apologies, but Ethan couldn't answer. He was staring at his own hands, shaking, weak, helpless. In that terrifying instant, the truth hit harder than the fall itself. He couldn't trust his body anymore. Not like before. Not yet. For a few brutal moments, Ethan sat in the sand, humiliation burning hotter than any physical pain. Strangers glanced over, some with concern, others with pity, and Ethan hated every second of it. He wasn't a victim. He wasn't ready to be the old man who fell at the park. With a guttural growl deep in his throat, Ethan planted his hands into the sand, gritted his teeth, and pushed himself up. His legs wobbled, his pride screamed, but he stood. Wiping the sand from his jeans, he thanked the startled boy, called Buddy back, and limped slowly, but proudly, toward home. That night, Ethan made a vow. This wasn't about pride anymore. It was about survival, about dignity, about refusing to surrender an inch of life without a fight. The real enemy wasn't the fall. It was the slow, silent erosion of strength. And Ethan, he had just declared war on it. 4. The fall at the park could have broken Ethan, not just physically, but mentally. For a few dark days afterward, he barely left his recliner. His legs throbbed with soreness, but the real pain came from inside, the gnawing whispers of doubt. Maybe it's too late. Maybe this is just how it ends. But something inside Ethan refused to stay silent. One night he sat by the window, watching the sunset bleed across the ocean waves. Buddy rested his head on Ethan's knee, warm and loyal as ever, and it hit him hard. This body had saved lives. This body had fought fires, chased dreams, built a family. How dare he give up on it now? Ethan realized that strength wasn't about being invincible. It was about refusing to quit, even when quitting seemed easier. He grabbed a notepad and scribbled 3 words in thick, shaky letters. Move, fuel, believe. The next morning he started small. Before breakfast, he did 5 seated leg lifts. His thighs screamed, but he smiled through the burn. He swapped his usual processed cereal for a hearty omelet packed with spinach and black beans. For lunch, he grilled a piece of salmon, the food he had once dismissed as fancy health stuff. He even placed sticky notes around the house, walked to the mailbox and back, stretched during commercials, smile after every small win. Each action, no matter how tiny, was a punch thrown at weakness. Each meal was a shield against decay. Each step was a loud, defiant, "I'm still here." More importantly, Ethan stopped seeing his body as a betrayal and started seeing it as a partner. A wounded partner, yes, but one still willing to fight if only he would lead the charge. Progress was slow, painfully slow. Some mornings his legs felt like sandbags. Some nights he doubted everything. But Ethan was no stranger to hard battles. And this one, the battle for his independence, for his very life, was one he vowed to win, one step, one stretch, one bite at a time. Because now he understood, aging isn't giving up. Aging is adapting, sharpening, strengthening in new ways. And Ethan wasn't fading. He was rising. Weeks into his new routine, Ethan felt something he hadn't tasted in years. Momentum. It wasn't dramatic. There were no marathons, no Rocky-style triumphs. But it was there, in the way his legs pushed a little stronger off the couch, in the steady way he could climb 2 stairs without gasping for air, in the smile that crept onto his face when he realized, "I'm getting better." One crisp Thursday morning, Ethan spotted a flyer at the local cafe. Senior Balance and Strength class. Beginners welcome. At first he scoffed. Him, in a class, doing exercises surrounded by strangers? The old Ethan, the proud, stubborn Ethan, would have crumpled that paper into a ball without a second thought. But not this Ethan. This Ethan saw it for what it truly was. A doorway. Not to weakness, not to embarrassment, but to connection, to guidance, to a stronger, steadier future. Clutching the flyer in his weathered hands, he made a decision right there, standing by the coffee counter. "I'm walking through this door." The first class wasn't easy. The room buzzed with quiet nerves as a dozen seniors shuffled and stretched. The instructor, a vibrant woman named Grace, greeted Ethan with a warm, encouraging smile. They started with simple moves, toe lifts, side steps, balance holds, moves that a younger Ethan would have laughed at. But now every tiny victory felt monumental. When Ethan managed to stand on one foot for 5 full seconds without wobbling, a few classmates clapped. He laughed, a genuine, deep laugh he hadn't heard from himself in months. For the first time in a long while, he didn't feel like he was surviving. He felt like he was living again. Class after class, step after step, Ethan rebuilt not just his strength, but his confidence. He forged new friendships, shared laughs over post-workout coffees, and even volunteered to help Buddy lead walking club sessions for the group. Opportunity hadn't come crashing down in some grand, dramatic moment. It had tiptoed into his life through a simple flyer, through a choice to show up, through the quiet, stubborn courage to say, "I'm not done yet." And Ethan? He was just getting started. Months passed, and the man who once feared a simple walk across the park was now becoming unrecognizable, even to himself. Ethan didn't just regain strength, he transformed. Gone was the tentative shuffle, the cautious, heavy steps. In its place stood a man who moved with purpose. Head high, shoulders back, eyes lit with a fire he thought had long gone cold. Every morning, without fail, he laced up his sneakers and took Buddy for longer walks. First around the block, then to the beach, then up the winding coastal trails he once avoided. He no longer saw exercise as punishment for getting older. He saw it as privilege, a celebration of what his body could still achieve when given the chance. Nutrition became a form of self-respect. His fridge was packed with fresh salmon, leafy greens, vibrant beans, berries, and hearty whole grains. Meals were no longer rushed or mindless. They were intentional, crafted with the knowledge that every bite was fuel for the battles ahead. The subtle victories piled up, carrying groceries without a second thought, rising from a chair without using his hands, helping a neighbor fix a broken fence, lifting, hammering, moving without fear. But perhaps the greatest growth happened deep inside Ethan, in the space no one could see. Where fear once gripped his heart, gratitude bloomed. Where anxiety whispered doubt, confidence roared back. Where isolation crept in, community embraced him. Ethan became a beacon for others, proof that decline wasn't inevitable. At the senior center, newcomers looked to him for encouragement. At the grocery store, he swapped recipes with curious strangers. At the dog park, he jogged after Buddy with a playful shout, laughing like a boy again. One evening, as the sun dipped low and painted the ocean gold, Ethan sat on his porch, Buddy resting by his side. He thought about the man he almost became, the one who gave in to weakness, to fear, to inevitability. And he smiled, because he wasn't that man. Not anymore. He was a fighter, a leader, a living, breathing testament that it's never too late to reclaim your life, and that sometimes the strongest muscles you rebuild aren't in your legs, but in your spirit. Ethan hadn't just survived aging, he was conquering it. Ethan's journey wasn't a miracle. It wasn't a grand Hollywood comeback with flashing lights and roaring crowds. It was something far more powerful. It was real. It was built in the quiet, stubborn hours, lifting a foot when it felt impossible, saying yes to salmon instead of frozen dinners, showing up at a balance class when his pride screamed to stay home. It was born in the daily battle between comfort and courage. And every single day, Ethan chose courage. And you can too. Because the truth is, strength doesn't belong to the young. It doesn't belong to the fastest, the fittest, or the luckiest. Strength belongs to those who fight for it, to those who believe, even when belief feels like a distant memory. Your legs, your spirit, your independence, they aren't gone. They're waiting for you to fight for them, waiting for you to feed them, to move them, to believe in them again. You don't need to be a hero. You don't need to lift mountains or run marathons. You just need to start. One bite, one step, one choice at a time. Choose the salmon, the leafy greens, the beans. Choose the walk around the block instead of the extra hour on the couch. Choose belief over fear, because no matter where you are right now, whether you feel strong or broken, steady or scared, it's not too late. There's still life in your legs, still miles to walk, still gardens to plant, oceans to watch, birthdays to celebrate, grandchildren to chase. There's still life to live, and you are worthy of living it fully. So today, make the smallest move you can towards strength. Stretch your legs, stand tall. Take one strong, defiant step toward the life you deserve. Because just like Ethan, you're not finished yet. You're just getting started. And the best chapters of your story are still waiting to be written. Ethan's story teaches us a powerful truth. Strength isn't something you're born with. It's something you build every single day. Aging doesn't mean surrender. It doesn't mean watching your body slip away without a fight. It means adapting, learning, and finding new ways to stand tall, move forward, and live fully. Fear might knock on your door. Doubt might whisper in your ear. But your spirit, your will to thrive, is louder, stronger, and infinitely more powerful if you choose to listen. The greatest battles we fight are often invisible to the world. They happen in the quiet moments when no one is watching. And they are won with tiny, stubborn acts of courage repeated again and again. Remember, you are stronger than you think. You have more control than you believe. And no matter your age, your best days can still lie ahead, if you reach for them. Starting today, here's what you can do. Eat to rebuild. Add salmon, leafy greens, and beans into your weekly meals. Even one extra serving can make a real difference. Move with intention. Stand up and sit down from your chair 5 times in a row without using your hands. Walk to your mailbox every day. Stretch during TV commercials. Track your wins. Keep a simple notebook. Write down each tiny victory. Walked an extra block. Chose spinach instead of chips. Did 10 leg lifts. Celebrate them. Stay connected. Find a local balance or senior fitness class. Community fuels consistency. And encouragement is magic for motivation. Believe fiercely. Post a note where you'll see it every morning. I am getting stronger. Every step matters. Small changes compound into life-changing victories. Not overnight, but absolutely over time. You're not too late. You're right on time. And the life you dream of, stronger, steadier, freer, is still waiting for you. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this, please like and share with your friends. Your support keeps these stories alive. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a new episode. And if today's story touched your heart, leave a comment. I'd love to hear from you. Take care, stay well, and see you in the next story.